And we are up. Okay. So then, let me just confirm. Everybody is signed in? No, not quite. Who have we not got? Webby, you're not quite signed into the Foundry yet. Unless my eyes deceive me.
Yeah, I come in now.
And those who want to hear Sirenscape can actually hear Sirenscape?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So, yes, like I said, some Star Trek Adventures news in that there is a new book coming out soon. Don't know when yet, but yeah, might be fun. Calamities to happen when you have tech go wrong.
Which we'll always blame the Orion pirates for.
Well, why wouldn't you? They're shoddy equipment. Okay, I am going to quickly shoot us over to the intro video. Thank you again, Gareth, for that. And we will be back in a couple of moments. Don't go away, folks. Hello folks, and welcome along to the continuing adventures of the USS Navis. I am MJ the GM, and I will be your games master for the next 3 hours. With me are the crew of the USS Navis as we say hello for the first time to our friends in the Tabletop Guild on Moonbeam.
Hi, Tabletop Guild. Who I've never met
Bonjour.
before.
So,
Sarah?
why the French, Alex? I mean, it's good that you're showing additional languages, but you know.
The entire episode will be
Communications
done in the
expert.
language of Francais. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Sophie Andrews.
Unfortunately, the rest
It's
of
a
the crews.
multinational organisation and also multi-worldal.
I mean,
with translators.
I've been vaguely
Well-
typing in someone attempting to type in English with a French accent for at least the last week or two on a roleplay server I'm on
But
currently, so why not keep it going?
I just want to say, Sean, I don't actually believe Starfleet really has universal translators because there are so many times where it fails. I'm pretty sure it's a big scam Starfleet's playing on its officers.
It's actually one poor guy in one office listening to all these various different things and typing them out furiously fast.
It's like, you know the scene from, I think it was it Star Trek 5? The one where the Klingons are asking the Enterprise and they're all frantically looking through books for translation.
That was 6. Yeah.
Oh, it was 6, was it? I reckon that's actually the universal translator. A bunch of guys frantically looking through paper books.
Yeah, we
It's
don't talk about Star Trek 5.
Yeah, we try not to, because what does God need?
But
with a
why does
starship?
Kirk need a starship? Why does God need a starship?
Why does
actually
Kirk need Starship?
I have to confess,
No,
as far as
that's
Star
Star
Trek
Trek 1.
6 goes, I do feel a little stupid for not noticing it earlier. But people did point out, why of all people would Uhura, who knows how many languages, need to read a Klingon dictionary and get the words wrong?
I believe it was rule of funny, with
Yeah.
funny in extremely large inverted commas.
I coping with a language and dialect you're not familiar with on the fly and successfully getting it 90% correct?
It is entirely probable.
That's still
that,
pretty impressive.
It is probably a thing that since they were still in conflict with the Klingons at that point, she probably thought, there's no point to me remembering how to speak this.
I reckon
Well,
it was because she got so many jokes about being the token woman and being useless because all she does is repeat stuff on the radio. She sat back and actually went, you know what? You do it without me and then we'll see who's useless.
It's entirely possible. In the meantime, let's get on with today's episode, shall we? So, everyone's in,
Dipping out
everyone
for
can see
coffee.
the stuff. Everyone can access the character sheets fine?
Good question. Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. And so, we come to the bridge. With the full knowledge that we are still in the early days, sadly, of the Dominion War. And so, the Navis itself is posted along the border, semi-patrol, semi-monitoring duty, the kind of, planetary monitoring duty that most Starfleet crews who aren't full of adrenaline junkies usually are content with having. Planetary survey type missions. And so the Navis has been quietly pootling along the border areas between the Federation and Dominion's territories, keeping a quiet eye on things, but also trying to do a little science on the side, since you are technically still a scientific testbed of a ship. And so, the bridge that we find ourselves in is a quiet one, meaning that the captain, at this moment in time, Captain Andrews, is not presently on the bridge. She is elsewhere, roaming about the ship, getting some personal time, but also using the time to get up to speed with what's going on with the ship, getting handed reports, reading reports, handing them back off to department heads, that kind of thing. And so
Complaining that Commander Vibers isn't doing his job.
As usual. Itty been spending too much time with his contraband.
in
No
regards
evidence
to
to that.
Sorry, go on with that. What was that?
You've got no evidence of that.
Security didn't find a thing.
I was going to say,
Just ask my pal Bravo. No, so we have the XO, Commander Vibers, left in charge of things for the time being. And like I noted, things at this point in time are pretty dang quiet. So the ship is meandering along with nothing much at the moment going on. As such, Ensign Fiesal enters onto the bridge from not being present before, seems to have a big old grin on her face, and moves towards the XO.
Can I help you, Ensign?
Yes, as it happens, sir, you can. You see, some of us in science are up for the possibility of promotion, or at the very least review. So I was thinking it would be good to put in some time in the lab with my personal project of looking for essentially God particles. So if it would please you, sir, I've got a request here for you to authorize to log me some additional computer time.
isn't
And
this how we
resources.
shagging side last time?
Right. None of this seems urgent at the moment. So I think it's worth going through your department head as usual.
She casts a glance over in Mono's direction, who's just getting on with what he's doing, and she goes, well...
Oh no!
No, if it's okay, you don't have to bother Mono, sir. You see, it's
No,
fine.
it's no bother. Mono, over here.
At which point Mono gets up. Sir, yes, sir.
The ensign's been looking into the project and would like to see if they can put some more hours in to get things moving along a bit.
Really?
Do you want to see what you can do about getting that sorted out?
I would very much be happy to, sir. And he glares in Fizal's direction. Especially because this is the first time I've heard of it. But fine. Fizal, you and I can have a conversation. I'm sure I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you, sir. Shall we? Mono is visibly clenching his jaw, but is trying to compose himself. So Nova, who is also currently on the bridge, detects a rather large wave of frustration coming off of him. It seems like he's had this pent up for a while, but he's trying his best to remain outwardly calm and professional about it. But he's very frustrated at the moment.
Well, let's have a chat when you come off shift.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Look forward to it, sir. Now, Fizal, as he tromps back over to his station. Vipers gets handed a notification from Nurse Bravo, who briefly comes through just to pass off a quick, shall we say, crew medical report for the crew, mostly because you asked to be kept apprised of the situation as pertains to Lieutenant Natik. Lieutenant Natik, being an insectoid Zindi, recently spawned a clutch of young who were since partitioned away inside of a cargo hold so that they could reach maturity, or at least reach spawning age quickly and safely enough inside a cargo hold. They have since emerged, and so Lieutenant Natik has asked for a cut down on their hours so that they can balance work and raising their young. And as such, a secondary staffing request has been sent by Lieutenant Natik to Dr. Bertram in the medical, in sickbay, the medical bay, requesting that since the young, the insectoid young, are still at a crucial development stage, Lieutenant Natik needs to balance work with being present for their young, but whilst Natik is at their station, they need someone to watch the hatchlings, and Nurse Natif has volunteered.
God. Poor
She
Natik.
says it's because she wishes to increase her xenobiological knowledge. She has, after all, never been up close with Zindi insectoid young before, and according to what others have been telling her, she says in the typically Vulcan deadpan way, I have been advised to become better with my interpersonal relationships. Therefore, I think this would be a good time to practice on my fellow crew members and on the Zindi young.
Dr. Birchard says that sounds like an excellent idea, both for your xenobiology practice, and it's always good to develop those interpersonal skills. Dr. Birchard says somehow without a trace of hypocrisy.
Nurse Nuteeth continues with, it would also probably behoove the Zindi insectoid young to have a Vulcan as a governess. I would, after all, be inclined to instill Vulcan levels of discipline to them, and therefore they would grow up to be very logical, dependable Zindi.
Well, I'm sure you'll have an excellent conversation with Natik about that.
That is a good
And obviously, any techniques or any influence you want to have, you'll need to get Natik's say-so for anything beyond the standard care.
Of course, Doctor. It is a good point. I will have to brush up my knowledge on Zindi insectoid rearing. If you will excuse me, I will go and consult the database.
Have fun.
Unless, of
That one
course,
is-
Ensign Fiesel is currently occupying computer resource. She has been doing so, I have been told, for a number of weeks now.
Hmm.
Well, if you find that is blocking you, then let me know and I'll have a word with Lieutenant Moreau and the XO. So the first priority does need to be the livelihood and the care of the young. So science is always an excellent goal. We have to actually balance it with the human aspect.
If you don't mind me stating so, Doctor, perhaps also the Vulcan aspect would be beneficial.
Of course. Seems I need to actually brush up on my own interpersonal skills. Thank you for letting me know that.
Oh, very good, Doctor. If you are wishing to brush up on your dialogue inaccuracies, I do in fact have a list that I have been compiling over the course of my tenure here. If you would wish to peruse it at some point, I'd be more than happy to furnish you with it.
I'd be very happy for that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very good, Doctor.
Oh, I sounded pained.
Bertram's eyes may have gone down to the little reminder on his screen of the captain's fin of you need to actually do more to engage with the crew beyond your professional capacity, or words to that effect.
Okie dokie. Let me see.
In
Yes.
response to Nautic's situation, Vipers has put a request in for some more security staff.
Okay.
So the next time we can get a crew rotation, we'd get a couple more security staff in to back them up.
Nice. Anything else? Those who've been on the bridge have noticed that Lieutenant Keshen, your communications officer, has seemed extraordinarily happy recently within the last couple of days. I mean, it is not often. You don't usually see Keshen's mood because as a Zaranite he needs to keep that breathing mask on as well as that the goggles over his
But
eyes.
the skipping to his station does kind
But
of
the
give it
skipping
away.
to his station does indeed give it away, yes. He almost does the Life Forms song. Which, if you
Oh
don't know
dear.
what I'm referring to, then people should really watch Star Trek Generations, if not anything, for that alone. Now everyone else is humming it, who knows? Mission accomplished. The only other thing to come across both the captain and the XO's reports list is that apparently, according to Dr. Bertram, who has maintained something of the de facto counselor's role on the ship, God help you all, is that recently the Erics, Jenny and Jean, have been having a little trouble maintaining cordial relations, and so they have both opted to have separate quarters at the moment.
That must have been a very tense therapy session.
Ooh.
So, tell me, what's bothering your marriage? And Jean's just staring holes through him.
Oh, Bertram. You sly old dog.
So the captain and the high staff have indicated that the two of you are arguing over your pathetic human biological urges that you somehow failed to curtail. What do you think about that?
I don't suppose I need to ask you whether or not Bertram was actually saying that, do I?
No, I feel that would be somewhat aggressive, Bertrand.
Plus, it would
That's
give
one
away the
way of
fact that he's
saying
actually a
it.
plant monster and not an actual human.
So is it more likely to? I think the standard sort of counsellor thing is to state the sort of the situation and then begin by asking what the opinions of the people in therapy are, and then basically kind of prod them with questions so that they end up filling in the conversation. So as I understand, that's a base technique to actually start the person talking, and through that talking and answer the questions, they start bringing up stuff that they may not otherwise have wished to actually confront within themselves.
Well, it's to the surprise of nobody that Jean Eric was rather reluctant to actually attend this relationship counselling session or two, especially because every time he sat down to have this relationship counselling session, he was staring daggers at Dr. Bertram the entire time. And therefore, whenever Dr. Bertram would ask him a question of the likes of, what do you think, Jean? Or, how do you feel about this, Jean? He would just simply respond with, I don't know, Doctor. Why don't you tell me? Is there something I should be upset about?
So the doctor goes, Gene, the whole point of this is to get to grip with the base of your issues and your therapy. You need to actually work with me on this.
Oh,
What is it
my
you are
issues,
upset
are
with?
they?
Oh God.
He also looks over at Jenny at that point. Oh, so these are my issues. This is entirely my fault. It's all in my head, right? And looks at Bertram again. Right?
Says,
Just
"Is
me
that what I
imagining
said?
things?
Are you just imagining things?
That's psych talk. You're answering a question by asking a question.
As opposed to you who are answering questions by being aggressive.
Oh God.
So, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. And he stands up and walks out. Jenny apologizes for Jean's behaviour.
Are we horrible people for creating this situation? Are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies, Hans?
I'm sure Bertram probably asked Jenny, goes,
Oh, my cheeks are
can you
starting to hurt
cite
now.
any insight on what it is that might be causing it to be so defensive?
I believe there is a very easy... Doc, I don't know how this started, this rumor about you and I, but somebody keeps on perpetuating it. It is becoming distracting. So much so that I just failed my last review. I have been putting in so much time, not only helping you out with your botanical research, but also my personal researches that I want to try and get published so I can be taken seriously in science. And every time I try, this damn rumor keeps coming up and people start snickering. It's driving me to distraction. So much so that Mono asked us in for a review and my numbers just weren't up, and I can see why. I'm starting to seriously consider just... You know what? I can't even.
It sounds like you were about to say something but cut yourself off.
Is it really worth me hanging around if all I'm going to do is just glide along mediocre or even fail? Why am I even here?
If you want my sort of thoughts on the matter, it sounds like you're trying to grasp with a lot of different and disparate issues at once. Perhaps if these are really distracting you, you need to actually get to grip with these rumours and the feelings they're bringing up. What is it you actually want as your highest priority?
I want to succeed at my job and be taken seriously for it.
And the rumours and the feelings these producing are your biggest obstacle?
Well, yes. We all know what Lieutenant Monod is like about things like sex and infidelity and all that stuff. It's not his fault, it's where he grew up. He grew up on the Arbizan homeworld. They're very conservative about stuff like that.
Do you think Lieutenant Monod is allowing his opinion to be swayed by these rumours, in your opinion?
I don't know, maybe. It's not helped by the way Fiesel's acting, I can tell you that for much.
And how's Fiesel acting?
What, you haven't noticed? Doc, seriously, what do you do with your time besides being sickbay and grow your plants? Sorry, that came off rude.
He sometimes plays Baccarat.
So, let me ask that question in a slightly rephrased way. What is it that Fiesel's doing that you've noticed that's had an effect on you?
She's going around Monod. She doesn't want to approach Mono for things that she's trying to get. And it's not just her. Kirst did it too. In fact, I think you'll find most of the science department are going around Mono.
Is there a reason? Is Mono blockading people? Or is he just considered difficult to work with?
I don't know, you'd have to ask them.
Hmm.
Mono's been fine to me this entire time that I've known him. I mean, he's great as a second. Not sure how I think of him as the actual head of science, but maybe that's just because I got so used to him being the next one down the rung. I don't know, it's stupid.
It sounds to me like, well, you're looking for change in your own life, which is not only admirable, but necessary in life. You can't stay static. You're frustrated that some aspects of the changes that are happening are not only not in your control, but also having adverse and counter effects to the changes you're trying to make in your life. And you're frustrated even more by the fact that many of these changes are coming from sources and instances that are outside your control.
So, you're suggesting the old adage of being brave enough to change that which I can and being wise enough to accept that there are things that I can't.
It's true. That is a good starting point, but I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to be completely content to the point of fully accepting that some of these things you can't control at the moment are beyond a longer term scope to change. I find something that comes naturally to me when I'm grappling with large scale problems is start by defining and diagnosing the foundation of all these issues. What is the number one source of chaos in my harmony, for one, to put it a little poetically? So if you start by getting to grips with what is the number one source of pain and the number one source of disruption in your life that is countering your attempts to where you want to go, and if you can actually find a way to resolve that, you have the cornerstone to build something more of a base of attack, if you want.
I see, I think. So you're essentially telling me to break everything down into lists?
I'd say I think if you can actually isolate the foundational, maybe the small group of foundational issues that are currently going on that are having these effects, a lot of the other effects that are going on and frustrating you, you'll find may well be symptoms of the underlying cause.
I will do
So at the
my best.
Yeah. So at the moment, the things that have come up are obviously your relationship to Jean, your frustrated attempts to actually pushing forward your career, the boundary that either deliberately or unconsciously you perceive Lieutenant Monroe for providing you, and the various other people that you've mentioned who are either snickering at the rumours you talked about or are going through non-standard ways or to fulfill their goals, which may be having unexpected effects that are getting in your way. There's a lot and this quite disparate and a wide range of things there. You'll probably find that some of those are, again, symptoms of the underlying cause. If you are concentrating on the symptoms, then you'll find yourself treading water. If you actually start working on the more difficult task of finding the underlying ultimate causes, you may have to spend more time and energy on the initial work there, but you'll find that once you actually get and grappled it and find a way to deal with it, a lot of the other issues may diminish.
I will do my best.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm not sure what to do about Jean. He's just taking all of these rumors to heart and he's becoming insanely paranoid. It's driving me crazy.
How long have the rumors been going on?
Quite a while.
We plead the fifth.
A long time.
Have you and Jean tried to actually talk about them previously?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm constantly
How
trying
does-
to tell him it's not true.
That's obviously true, but what I'm thinking more is, have the two of you actually talked about them, or do you find that it more goes the way of you're trying to state a fact and Jean gets angry and defensive and ends up walking away from the conversation, similar to what's happened here?
Pretty much the latter.
Sounds like this is needs a two-pronged attack. You obviously have the facts down for the one prong, but there's also an emotional aspect here. You need to actually, if you want to actually push, bring this and find a compromise that the two of you can actually live with to deal with the situation, Gene needs to actually accept that there is something he needs to confront rather than get angry and not actually confront the main problem. Just expend their energy being angry about it and hope that one way or another will resolve itself. And I think you also need to actually perhaps both be there for him emotionally, but also stand firm. You need to actually tell him that he's not engaging with you. He needs to actually either make a decision or actually have a proper conversation, not about the rumors, but starting by why it is he's not listening to you and why you're having a difficult time talking to him.
Okay. I'll try. He's pretty hot at the moment, so maybe I'll wait for him until he cools down a bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thanks for your time, Doctor.
Yep, I hope I helped.
We need a new Tannenbaum. Well... So, yes, whatever of that Dr. Bertram feels he needs to actually filter out to the XO and the captain is entirely up to him.
I probably better have a word with Vibers, because I can't tell him about the actual specifics, because obviously doctor-patient confidentiality. I feel that I can at least sort of say that there seems to be a feeling among certain members of the crew that the process of going through this working towards potential promotions and development, there's a feeling that the proper procedure isn't always being respected, and some people feel that they're being undercut by those who are willing to cut corners and try and divert from the normal procedure.
This is all science department.
Seems so.
I mean, if Bertram's selling this to Vibers, he'll say, at least the ones I've been exposed to.
Okay. Mr. Nova, you have the bridge.
Who's Mr.
Mister.
That's what you do on a Navy ship? Yep. Mister.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Everyone's a mister?
Whoa,
Everyone's a mister.
whoa. You're giving Nova the flipping bridge?
That was the thing I was going to get stuck on, yes.
Nova has the Kong.
There is nothing to explode. There is nothing around. The most interesting thing nearby is a Class 3 comet. I think it's the safest
Next door
possible
is
time.
ramming speed.
Blood vessel just suddenly bursts in Andrew's head when she's on the bridge.
Not even on the bridge, yeah. What just happened?
Emergency sensors going off as we trickle in speed.
Yeah,
and
it's like,
stuff.
Andrew's to claw, jump in the seat. Andrew's to claw, in the seat, in the seat.
10 minutes
Before she
later.
sits down!
You just see Claw just dives across the console.
I'm just seeing the next day Andrews is going, Captain's log supplemental. I'm not sure how Lieutenant Nova managed to collide the Milky Way in the Andromeda Galaxy, but...
Found a way.
Oh, dear. Okay. So.
At least put Turin
Okay.
in place, sort of.
Well,
Mono,
Turin is actually elsewhere at this point in time, I hasten to note. But yes, Mono.
Mono, get the rest of your department. Conference room 1.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
The
Okay,
tube
so-
then, please.
Hold on a moment.
Anyone but no.
Lachude's not here. Lachude's at transport the control.
Give us a moment whilst I bring up the situation room. And clear it out of those people who aren't needed. Right, so who do we need here? We need Mono. We need the Exo. And...
Curse,
need
Jenny,
else.
and...
Whoops-a-daisy. What did I do? Oh no, I clicked the right button. Fine. We need Cursed. We've got Mono. We need... Jenny, you said? Fiesel?
Yeah. Yeah.
With telecartography, Bravo. Oh no, because he's not technically science, he's telecartography, isn't he?
But Inkle Bravo of Science is by
Inkle
there.
Bravo, yeah.
The one we usually forget actually is alive.
No, it's telecartography. It's Inless that we forget.
Yeah. Let's just say that Inkle of Science is the least used.
Cool.
Okay. Foolish meatbag units and their politics are so amusing to superior mechanical. Well, it's beginning to look that way, isn't it? Oh, I forgot someone very important, the one who called this meeting in the first place. Vibers! There he is.
Vibers locks them in the situation room and then gasses them all and goes, problem solved!
That would be Nurse New Teeth you were thinking of there, I think you'll find.
And the first
Let me
Teeth
just
is practicing
sort
being
this
a
one out.
Oh,
That's
head
a
of the
point,
table.
Okay. I've
Riker.
been noticing some problems in this department.
At which point Mono goes, yeah, quietly, but not quietly enough.
And for once, it's not with the head of the department or unapproved experiments or anything that's going to destroy the ship or give me paperwork. What I'd like to know is why, out of the 4 of you in this department, excluding your head, 2 of you... Did Jenny come ask me last session for
No, that was
computer time stuff?
cursed.
Okay, just so. 2 of you have decided to go around your department head and try and run rings around them to get your own way.
Backs off a little bit.
I'd like to know what your problems is and what's the malfunction in this department and how do we get you guys working properly.
First looks nervously towards Fiesel, who's just there quietly tapping her lip. One of her 5 husbands, of course, Inkle, is sat there, and Vibers, through knowing Bravo Chief of Engineering for a long old time, you have noticed that all 5 Bravo brothers share similar tells, physical tells, and this particular one, Inkle, is just sitting there listening to everything that's going on, and when Vibers addresses the, what is your malfunction, soldier? When Fiesel starts tapping her lip as if she's thinking, his head jerks in her direction, and he's having a little frown, which is the Bravo way of saying, I'm reading some very troubling telepathic signals coming from... And he...
As you're aware, we are on a war footing. If we can't get this department working correctly again, and flowing properly, and providing a function to the ship and to Starfleet was you're supposed to be doing, we can send you back to headquarters.
Fiesel leans forward now, and doesn't steeple her fingers. She intermeshes her fingers as she leans on her elbows and leans in towards Vibers. Commander, that's really not necessary at all. You see, and that's when something happens. the entire ship suddenly becomes washed in this blaze of energy, and just as in the second between everyone in this room going, what was that? The ship suddenly lurches, so everybody feel free to give me the Star Trek shake.
You can't see it, but I'm shaking.
Alarms go off, the lights start to flicker, and, well, chaos seems to be erupting elsewhere.
Tier stations will deal with this later.
Some
Get back to
moments
the bridge and
before
hopefully I
this,
can get there before Nova did.
some moments before this, let's see, where was I? Let's pop back to the bridge. So, we have got the medical staff, these guys, currently doing medical staff things in sickbay, more than likely. The science guys are currently engaged in their conference, as is the XO. So let's just make them invisible for a moment. Leaving us with, of course... leaving us, of course, with the fact that the chief engineer and the chief transport officer are more than likely not here either. They are at their stations. So... they are attending to their duties in their regular stations. Everyone else is at their posts. And, of course, Nova was given the con. Probably because Vibers didn't expect to be away for terribly long. Well... here we are, nonetheless. Edwards is currently down on the science deck with Lieutenant Turin, as it turns out, so neither of them are currently on the bridge either. So, not long after... Why is Lenny all the way up there?
I was to say, the captain looks like a ghost.
Yes, the captain does look okay. Why does the captain have invisibility all of a sudden?
Eating the mushrooms, that's why she's not here.
Captain's been invisible for ages.
That's weird. It's kind of funny. I'm going to unilaterally say that the helm officer needs to be at the helm, so over he goes.
She kicked him off because she wants to drive.
Nova wants to... Oh, who wants to drive, sorry?
Nova.
Nova wants to drive.
Technically, she has the con.
Yep.
So she's literally having the con. Okay.
Yep. She gave him a job to do elsewhere.
Okay. So Nova cracks her knuckles dramatically, flings out her hands and starts piloting, realizing very swiftly there's very little to actually do. But that is when an alert goes off on Lieutenant Cashin's station. Let me just find where it is. So, Lieutenant Cashin notices that an extremely powerful subspace message is threatening to overwhelm the communication system. And since Nova is technically in command at the moment, he wants to know what you would like him to do.
How much data are we looking at? Does she estimate that it would overrun Hello's systems, or could she divert it?
Well, it's going to have to be Cashin who has a look at this, so I'm going to be nice and say that because this is a story beat and therefore doesn't eat into your list of supporting characters that you need to... you've got a limited list that you can use, so this is Cashin. So why don't you go to Cashin and give me a control and engineering task, and meanwhile, Webby, if you can find the Navis, and give me a communications and engineering to assist. And remember that the ship counts as having a focus. So,
have we gone back to second edition or first edition? For
we are first edition Navis, so...
there isn't one.
So if you find the first USS Navis crew and ships, first edition, ships subfolder.
No, it's in that one. Okay, you've got
USS
two folders.
Navis A. Yeah.
Yeah, you got first edition and first edition. When you want?
Oh, sorry. First edition is for general stuff like folders for aliens and adversaries, starships, and the like. So yeah, sorry about the confusion there. So what I wanted from the Navis was well done, Keshin. What I wanted from the Navis was communications and engineering, please. And remember, it counts as having a focus in this. So 1 dice. Nice. Nice. Communications systems on the Navis are operating very, very well. That was actually difficulty 3, and you got 4 successes, so nice. So, bearing in mind this is all going on whilst other stuff is happening on the ship, and we'll be getting to those bits in a bit. Okay, so essentially, using what Nova suggested she was going to do herself, Lieutenant Keshin starts trying to distribute this massively powerful subspace message. No problem, Webby. Distribute it across systems so that it doesn't actually bring down the entire communication array. And with the help of the Navis, he does that. It's then that Cruz, who's currently on sensors, gets an alert of her own. No, Lieutenant Nova, I've got something weird on the sensors, and it's at that point that this bright flash of energy cascades across everybody, starting from where the view screen is and then waving backwards over folks. And at that instant, that's also when the ship then careens from side to side. And sadly for Lieutenant Nova, she can't start to do a barrel roll, because the moment that the wave of energy hits the ship and the ship starts to rock is also when Lieutenant Nova gets suddenly hit with a wave of panic. It's panic on a level you've never felt before, and it's external. Hit the same moment the energy wave did, and it's overwhelming. And it's giving Nova a headache, making her see white spots. She's almost incapacitated with it. And with this enormous feeling of panic, there's also this sensation of a bright light, distorted as if being seen from underwater. A lot of the bridge systems spark, and a number of people have been thrown from their stations to the ground. Ensign Cruz leaps from her station at what's usually head of science and sensors to try and help Nova. So Cruz is there going, "Somebody help! Nova's down, she needs assistance!" So hasten to note that Stevens isn't here either. And Keshin has been thrown from his station and is grasping around trying to grab his breathing mask. However, meanwhile, let us go. Down to the general corridors, where we find Captain Andrews has got a data pad in her hands and is walking and reading at the same time. You've got what I intimated before about various reports, crew reviews and that kind of thing, but of more primary importance to Andrews is the fact that there are a load of updates that have come in recently about the ongoing war with the Dominion. some of the information is Captain Raoul Fortok of the USS Megami managed to assist the Mapui against enemy agents who were apparently planning a large-scale sabotage mission. The beleaguered ground forces on Sondale 5 were successfully evacuated by the USS Lexington and the USS Randar's Curiosity as the local star started collapsing rapidly for unknown reasons.
Bloody telecal again.
In Picard, reunited with his old command, the Stargazer, in order to answer the threat of increased Dominion patrols along the border. Unfortunately, the Stargazer was ambushed. Escape pods were launched and the Stargazer was found and salvaged and towed, but a number of escape pods have not yet been located. Captain Picard's amongst them. Slightly better news, though, is that your old Orion pilot friend Rayner was recently employed to make a supply run to a military research facility in the Luracus system. So he's being gainfully employed in a positive manner. The USS Appalachia was also brought in to assist the 20th Fleet, and a new supply chain was established by the Admiralty in order to aid the fleet's efforts on the front. However, last piece of news is that an unsuccessful attempt was made once again to rescue a scientific mission that went missing in the Shackleton Expanse. Commander Guttrell and the USS Merlin attempted to locate the scientific team, but unfortunately were unable to do so, and so the entire team has been declared missing, presumed lost. It's with such grim news on her plate that the captain moves into the turbo lift in order to make her way probably towards her ready room. And that's when an ensign from engineering quickly jumps into the turbo lift with the captain to try and grab the turbo lift before it closes. Captain, hope it is all right for Chaff Ensign to hitch a ride.
Of course, Ensign.
Thank you, sir. Chaff Ensign has report from engineering for you, sir. Commander Bravo asked me to give it to you.
I will extend my hand and thank him for the data pad.
Okay. The turbo lift doesn't take long to reach the deck you want, and so the turbo lift does open. And, yeah. Andrews can exit. And just as Chaff Ensign is about to exit, that wave of energy strikes the ship, and everything goes bananas for a moment. The ensign, unfortunately, is caught halfway in and halfway out of the turbo lift, and the door slams shut on him, pinning him there. Meanwhile, going back a few minutes before all that happened, we find Lieutenant Edwards and Lieutenant Turin in the science labs. They are both examining a piece of telecal technology that you had requisitioned from the stores as one of your shared downtimes, since you are both xenoarchaeologists, trying to discern the function of certain telecal pieces of technology. And so this is yet another attempt to try and identify what this specific piece of machinery might be about. You've been at it, poking the thing, conducting scans, conducting tests. You haven't really been getting anywhere. And, oh, hello. Raldanash just piped in to chat and said, good evening. Hello, Raldanash. How you doing? Thank you for following along with us.
Thank you for your patronage.
So,
Apologies for all the cross references.
never apologise for the cross-references. They're where we do
There'll
this.
be happy references again soon.
Shiny, happy references.
So, yes, as I said, Lieutenant Turin and Lieutenant Edwards spend a lot of time on downtime when they're not on personal projects trying to find out what these ancient pieces of alien technology do. Raldanash says, alright, being nosy, what are you playing? We are just off to the Shackleton Expanse ourselves. Ahahaha. Welcome, welcome then. What are we playing? Well, I think it's worth noting that we are using first edition rules of Star Trek Adventures. Second edition is out, but the guys, after trying it for a bit, decided that they would rather go back to first edition rules for the most part, although we have kept one or two second edition rules that I thought were particularly snacky, so a bit of a mishmash of both. You're just off to the Shackleton Expanse yourselves? Well, how far have you got through the Shackleton Expanse? Because these guys here are pros at the Shackleton Expanse by this point.
We only occasionally blow the ship up.
Marginally.
Marginally.
Yeah.
To be fair, you yourselves have yet to actually
Better.
blow the ship up.
Yeah.
You have had the ship badly, badly damaged before. To the point where you got a shiny new ship because of it.
We don't talk about the port nacelle.
And we never talk about the port nacelle.
That's a lie. We talk about it all the time.
Raldanash says, we are also sticking to First E for now. Interesting. But don't let me distract you just arriving at Narendra Station. Oh, you're at the beginning. Oh, wicked. Very, very good. Well, you guys, any happy memories of your first time hitting Narendra Station?
I remember the time we had that councillor turn up to talk to us and nothing bad happened.
We don't talk about the council.
We don't talk about
There's
the
a couple
councillor
of very
either, no.
happy admirals.
I remember us
Somebody
going out the
mentioned-
door. I remember us going out the door at Impulse.
Yes, you did leave the station dock on impulse rather than... That's what happens when you have Andorian hotshots for pilots, yes. Oh, well,
Well, the
good luck with
story
your
is-
adventures starting the Shackleton Expanse. It's awesome. We've been
Quantum
away from the
torpedoes are where
Shackleton
it's at.
Expanse for a while, actually. Sorry, Gareth, what was that?
I said, quantum torpedoes are where it's at.
Yes.
Solve every problem.
Yeah, we've been away from the Shackleton Expanse for a little bit now. What with we're now in the Dominion War, so unfortunately, as happened with a lot of Starfleet officers at that point, they were taken away from their scientific and exploration duties, and instead were forced to fight a war. So we're dealing with that. Haven't been back to the Shackleton Expanse in some time, but you guys are just starting out, so that's awesome. A lot of very funky stuff waiting for you, so keep us appraised as to how you do, because I'm always interested to see how other people approach the same stories in different ways. Right then. Meanwhile, where were we? Ah, yes. Lieutenant Turin is busy trying to conduct her own scans on the piece of technology, whilst Edwards is running a few simulations. And she states, Lieutenant, I have noted that you seem to not spend as much time with some of the other crew in the mess hall.
I'm guessing that is a question.
It is a question.
I like my work. And also, well, this type of thing reminds me a bit of how I scratched out my living before joining Star Trek. Just finding things and figuring them out.
Indeed.
I like spending my time around here.
You do not find yourself perhaps a little lonely, not socializing with others?
I do sometimes when Vibers drags me out. I think he gets me on a few levels. Though I think I might have been a bad influence upon him once upon a time, or vice versa.
The mere notion that Vibers could be a bad influence on anyone is an accepted probability around here, I think you will find.
Yeah, vipers.
I must ask, however, you are not seeing anybody socially at this present moment in time.
Not, not, not currently.
She just seems to quietly nod. Very good. I am not making any progress with this device, although I am picking up what appears to be what we've established as a telecal grav generator. I am uncertain as to how it is activated, however. There appears to be no activation protocol whatsoever. Perhaps if you were to... Ah, there you are. Assist me with these calculations.
What's the briefest description of what I'm looking at, Matt?
The briefest description is essentially another piece of some of that tech that was recovered from SETI Alpha 5 way back when. So that was stuff that was potentially causing earthquakes. Whether this is one of those pieces of tech that was actively causing the earthquakes or if it was just incidental, you're not sure. Because as soon as the thing was powered down, it lost its function, and therefore, as with most telecal technology, it seems to defy easy identification.
What have you tried on this piece so far?
Well, if you look here, and she reaches deliberately across and accidentally brushes Edwards' hand with her own while she points to a display. And I use accidentally with air quotes. I'm getting a lot of hate in text form at this moment, so I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, so focusing on the device.
Do it.
And I was wondering if you would prefer to have sex later.
Not your typical Vulcan.
Not your typical Vulcan.
You're a bit forward.
I am a Vulcan. Is there any way I was meant to be? Besides, you were not apparently responding to my overtures, and therefore I presumed you were being male. And therefore missing the point. I have observed that subtlety is not an appreciable quality amongst males. Especially when it comes to sexual overtures. Was I perhaps too forwards?
There's usually a little bit of build-up for it in my culture, rather than coming out with it.
Indeed. I will make an attempt to be a little less forward, then. I do apologize if I have caused you any undue... And at that point, that's when the bright flash happens, the alarms start going off, and suddenly everything tilts dramatically to one side.
Is there a shout from Edwards at this point going, "Oh, thank you, Q"?
Praise Q, something happened. Yes, so everything tilts to one side. Turin bangs her head against the console. Edwards goes a little bit more into this the space between the device and the desk over here. And unfortunately, that means that Edwards is up close and personal, where he sees it dramatically start to spark.
I don't know if she'd be relieved or nervous at this point. It's a bit of both, I think.
The last thing he remembers is being flirted by a Vulcan and then blown up by a telecal tech.
However, a few minutes before this, we find Dr. Bertram in the Botany Research Laboratory working on his latest experiments.
He's just had a conversation with her and she's standing there with, like, "Jenny, don't fix your marriage." Don't do it, Jenny. It's not worth it. He doesn't.
So this is me assuming, of course, that the whole conversation between the Doctor and Jenny Eric was because it was so long and involved, and that's not a knock. I'm just saying because it was so long and involved, it more than likely happened a good section of time away from everything that's going on now. Because that was definitely a very close conversation going on there. So I'm still getting a tremendous amount of text-based hate. I don't know who this is that's sending me all of this, but wow, their language is colourful. I know, I'm a stinker. Anyway. Legend has it that the moss grows on the north side of the trees. Well, legend has it when the rain comes down, all the worms come up to breathe. This is... Oh, he's singing to himself. Right, okay, that's not disturbing at all. Okay, alright then, fine. Okie dokie. So, whilst we're here...
that the Moss Doctor tries to be more human.
Speaking of, we were still trying to find the final way of trying to create your biological EVA suit.
Yep.
So now'd be a good time to do it.
Okie dokie.
Quantum mechanics.
Yep.
As the way to do it.
Given I've been studying dimensional physics.
So, anybody... Well, not very many people, are, as it turns out, are actually all that available right now, but...
Yeah. Does anyone help me with this EVA suit? Doctor, the ship is shaking apart. I don't see how that's relevant.
Edwards might volunteer to be a guinea pig to get out of the situation.
Not you, Edward. You're too busy exploding.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
No, he's not exploding. He's just gone bright red. There's slight difference.
There's the imminent formation of a red star going on in science.
Given that Jenny's the only person in the room, and she's indicated that she's been working extremely hard trying to... But wasn't she actually in the situation room with Vipers a lot?
That's a pretty good point, actually. I bet I had divert her from there because the science team themselves have been diverted away. So yeah.
Yeah.
Or Bertram has cloned her.
No, I'm pretty
that
sure
would explain the rumours.
Yeah, it would explain the rumours because there's two Jennies going around.
I'm pretty sure that that's against many Federation laws.
What was that, Sean?
It explains why Tank 3's closed.
Wow.
That's where Jenny is.
Wow, this got dark quick.
Wasn't it only last story that Vibers asked for my opinion specifically because I was apparently the moral centre of the crew?
Well, we've disabused people of that.
Apparently his judgment isn't very good.
Yes, so currently at this moment in time, those who you could usually call on to assist with anything quantum mechanics or whatever based, they're currently in a meeting being told off, or doing the telling off. So, plot twist, he actually cloned Gene. Wow!
At the time.
Yeah, probably I'm taking advantage of the fact that all the people who've been nabbing all of the bandwidth lately are being told off by Vipers.
You get your computer time now, it's free, yeah.
So by all means, yes, going to be reason and probably science.
Reason, science, and I've not got this as a focus, so it's just going to be...
Talent alone.
Yep. 2 successes.
Nice, okay. Obviously nothing huge, but still a step in the right direction. So you've tried xenobiology, you've tried biotechnology, I almost couldn't say that, and genetics. And we're now currently on quantum mechanics, and you seem to be on the right path, perhaps. This one seems to be agglomerating everything you've learned, and there's possibilities here that you weren't quite sure this was the way to go, but now it's starting to look like it might be the path to go. And so, whilst Doc Bertram is moving over to the inspect some of the mycelial spores, your Prototaxites stellavituriae samples, that's when a bright flash happens and rolls over the ship. And all of a sudden, the whole ship shakes as everything goes bananas. Dr. Bertram does bump his head a little bit, but moreover, his primary concern is the fact that an EPS conduit explodes and a plasma fire starts.
Ooh. Okay. Are there facilities to isolate the EPS conduit with a force field?
You could try.
Okay. Well, first of all, computer, isolate that EPS conduit with a force field. Stop that plasma leak.
In which case, you get, if I can find it. Here we go. The computer, it seems, does not respond.
Yeah. If Bertram was a more aggressive or angry person, he might make a comment about the computer never is responding when we need it the most. Okay.
So, I am going to take, before we do anything, I'm going to come back to the bridge, because they was the first ones to deal with this. Nova is currently on the floor with a splitting migraine dealing with this external emotion that suddenly smacked right into her, as well as these weird light-based hallucinations that she seems to be having on and off. Ensign Mariana Cruz is currently trying to call for somebody, anybody, to actually help Nova get up.
Does she have enough function to be able to try and chase it down the rabbit hole, same as she did when she first experienced Hella?
Let me see. Give me just a moment then, please.
Ready?
Because now I'm going to type. I'm not that fast a typer, so excuse me if there are any typing errors.
The person on the bridge with the highest medical skill is Unit Hello.
See, I left a fully occupied bridge with all the right amount of staff. It was
Everyone
fine.
on the bridge except Hello is Medicine 1. There's no one on the bridge with medical skills. Except Claude, because he is the all-powerful Claude.
Yeah, can't fault that. Well, we're going, we don't need medicine.
Isn't Claw only good at CPR for medical because it's press button till person stop gets
Press
back
button.
up?
Press chest. No, because he's good at execution, not CPR. He just gets up there, and can you imagine him doing stuff like oh god, night fever. Just Claw with his rock fist going, night fever, night fever. There's a pile of jam.
I hasten to note, yes, that Unit Hello's remote unit, at the very least, has powered down and has just flopped into, well, just a pile of parts. He's not come apart, but is now just what's the word I'm trying to think of? He's just
he's
a paperweight.
inactive.
Yeah, he's inactive at the moment.
Tell me though, Claw is a ranking officer on the bridge.
Yeah, Claw would have to take control of the situation.
Alrighty. Let me just...
Claude.
Go on.
Yes, Claude would command that we bring the ship to full damage report, status reports, and try and get communications to medical team to the bridge.
Okay. Can I, in that case, get a... Claude is going to try presence and command, please. Meanwhile, I would like Nova to try insight and command. Both of them separately, not aiding either of each other.
I really want to use Claw's determination of just, I am Claw!
It's entirely up to you, but if you do so, you are activating him properly and therefore using up one of your supporting characters for...
I mean, it's Claw. We'd do that anyway.
Yeah, we'd use Claw for everything.
Not saying you shouldn't, I'm just saying.
Nova's going to use her determination as well. And probably link this into the scar. Just from memories of losing past crew members, because that's what he classes Hello as.
Interesting. Okie dokie, okie dokie.
Could we potentially use Claw's Starfleet security protocols as a foci? Because that may have just meant that 12 is a success, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. So, Claude tries to take command and uses security protocols to try and establish what's going on, which gets a report back from Lieutenant Keshen stating that... Ooh, look at that. Right, we'll get to you in a second, Sean. Excuse me. From what Keshen can tell, there's damage reports coming from all over the ship. Some kind of energy wave struck the ship, and it made a number of systems go offline. Weapon systems appear to be disabled, but everything else, additional systems are damaged, but sensors and communications are still operational to a degree. For the most part, a lot of internal systems have suffered either power overloads or just plain ceased working. Folks have been... Yeah, okay, fine, thank you. So mostly getting reports of people having been thrown around and injured, and therefore a lot of folks are sending requests to sickbay for medical assistance, those that can't actually get there themselves. Nova, peering into the ether, it feels very much like something from not so far away just sent a cry into space for help. That's what it feels like to Nova.
Okay.
Very strong.
Did she get a direction that she could plug into the con?
Not initially, no. But okay. Nova's getting a wash of imagery, and she can't quite make head or tail of it at the moment. Once systems are stabilized and back online, you can probably consult navigation and see if anything jumps out. In the meantime, okay. Cruz has pushed Unit Hello delicately to one side and jumped into the operations console and is trying to help stabilize systems. I am now going to
sit where he once sat.
I am now going to jump us to the situation room. It'll load. It's being a bit slow about it. Give it a moment. Whoopie-doopie-doo. So, everything went bananas, and some folks here fell out of their chairs, and the doors have sealed shut. So, at the moment, people are trying to force the doors open.
Right. Stop walking around in circles. Pull yourselves together. You're a science department. You're the smartest people in the room apart from the engineers. Get me out of here.
Wait, shouldn't the engineer be the one working on the door?
It's funny you should say that,
but I have a department that's being really dysfunctional. This is an opportunity.
Oh, good point. But, at the same time, Vipers gets a comm badge chip, which at least means that communications still appear to be working.
Vipers here. What's the situation?
Ensign Tessara, on Deck 9, Commander Vibers. I was led to believe you were still in charge on the bridge?
No, I'm currently on, which deck's this one on?
It is deck 1.
I'm
Behind
currently
the
on deck 1, but we're separated from the bridge at the moment.
That is unfortunate. I am in dire need of assistance, Commander.
What's up? What's your problem? So what's your immediate problem? I'm assuming we're going to have problems all over the ship.
Lieutenant Stevens was showing me around the function of the Bifrost drive, since she has recently appointed me as her second. She was in the middle of showing me the various different safety functions when the ship was all of a sudden struck by some kind of energy wave. Lieutenant Stevens has gone down, sir. She appears to be unconscious, but I am also seeing a number of systems that are reporting errors on the Bifrost drive. If I am reading the display correctly, it seems like the magnetic field around the dark matter is starting to lose containment. I am uncertain how to repair and re-engage it.
Right. Here's what you need to do, and here's the information you need to give me. And then Vibers starts effectively doing phone call tech support on a system he touched about 6 months to a year ago from vague memory and hopefully getting it right.
So what Vibers remembers at the very least from, as you say, having touched on it some time ago, and I'm sorry about that, but what you know is that...
Can you patch in Bravo as well, you know? just get everyone on a Teams call.
Nope. I'm letting Bravo deal with engineering.
Yeah, and what you've essentially got here, Vibers can probably tell, is that you've got a brand new ensign who is just being shown, given her, going through her induction, and now all of a sudden the dark matter inside of the containment field is starting to drift. If dark matter loses magnetic containment, then the dark matter can make contact with the containment shell, and if that happens, boom. So, what you're more than likely going to have to do is first give me a reason and engineering check. Ooh.
I'm claiming needs of the ship.
Oh, okay. Alright then. Using a determination. So remember, roll one less dice. This is actually, if Raldanash is still here, this is an interesting point to bring up. One of the changes from first ed to second ed was that if you use a point of determination to get yourself a dice that has automatically rolled a 1, in second edition, rather than it being an extra dice, it replaces one of your dice, and I've stuck with that, because it then allows the guys to do more dice themselves. So, we use...
If I remember how it worked when we created the prototype for this thing, we need to make sure that the containment chamber for it does not contact the antimatter and keep spinning at this appropriate rate.
Yes.
So if you do this, and this, and it should keep going. Once that's up and running, you're going to connect. You're going to grab a pad off the table and connect it up, and then you're going to give me a number off the pad, and I'll get mine to mirror it.
Understood,
Because
sir.
I'm assuming I can't get the stats on the system from here.
I am reading a 0.08 drift, and it is increasing. I will attempt to initialize the changes you just directed me to, sir.
Okay, don't panic. Keep it slow and steady.
I am a Vulcan,
but keep
sir.
the pace
I
up.
do not panic. Although I am beginning to experience what I believe humans to call panic. Magnetic field is now got a drift of only 0.04, 0.02. There is no more drift. Magnetic field containment is stabilized. My thanks, Commander. I will now seek medical assistance for Lieutenant Stevens.
Okay. I'll get a medical team to you. Keep an eye on that board while keep an eye on Stevens for now. I'll be back on the courier shortly.
Acknowledged, Commander.
Fibers to sickbay. We need a urgent medical team to Deck 9.
At which point, Mono goes, "See? That's how you open a door. It's called the manual release." At which point, Bravo, Incol Bravo goes, "Yes, and I hasten to note that it took 3 of us to actually turn that thing, sir. It was jammed in position, which was why we weren't able to... You know what? I'm sorry. I'm just keen to get out of here, sir." Mono, at which point, turns round to Vipers and goes, "We have a way out again, sir." Meanwhile, back down in the corridor with the poor ensign stuck with a hungry turbo lift.
No.
So the whole place is going bananas, alarms are sounding off, and Andrews is moving away from the ensign.
I was on mute. Yeah, it sucks to be you, Ensign.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can get more ensigns.
Yeah, we can get more ensigns. They grow on trees, right, don't they?
There's always more ensigns.
Just check the colour of his shirt. If it's red, he knew what he was getting into.
No, it's admirals in TNG era.
So this guy has got the yellow of ops, so...
Oh.
He gave you an engineering report after all, so...
Then he definitely knew what he was getting into.
Physical enhancement. Okay, so this device functions exactly like its organic counterpart. However, before attempting the task, the character may choose to take 3 challenge dice in stress to add a single additional d20 to their dice pool. Alrighty. So, if you could do me the favour of going into your character sheet, hit the perform challenge, and you want 3 dice in pool. Ah, lucky. Just 3 stress worth of damage. So you didn't really strain yourself too much, but you get to roll an extra dice, which means that you can now do fitness and security to force open the door.
Foci?
Forcing open doors and saving ensigns. Let's see. Is there a focus for this?
Sounds like
I don't think there's any of the focuses that I could flag, sort of like advanced hand to hand, to say, if I hit the door at this point, it's a weak point. You know? Yeah.
I mean, survival training, rescue.
Yeah, survival
Maybe.
training.
I'll go with that. Using leverage to assist you with, you got to get the kid out before serious damage is done to him. So yeah, that's fine. Whoa, 3 successes, whopping good. There's a full momentum pool right there. So yes, using her bionic arm, Andrews engages an overdrive setting that causes a bit of discomfort as it makes the thing hot. It feels like the nerve impulses going to and from the arm make your arm feel like it's getting uncomfortably hot, and the servos start to whine quite loudly. But you do force the door open, and Chaff Ensign tumbles from the turbo lift before it slams shut with quite a bit of force. He's injured his leg, it looks like it's crushed. But he's also got superficial bruising to his ribs.
I'm pretty sure there's probably more severe injuries on board ship, so I will assist him to sickbay before then. Well, first of all, message the bridge for a situation report.
You get the situation report that Claude essentially got. energy wave. Lots of people have been rocked about like sardines in a can. And so far, systems are down and coming back online slowly. Lots of people reporting to sickbay at the moment. And so, assuming, of course, that the captain will be going probably straight back to the bridge after she finishes delivering Chaff Ensign to sickbay, we go back to the primary science lab.
Do you have to? I can sit this one out. You have my money.
Edwards regains consciousness, and Tyrin's just lying on top of him, like, "Oh no, sir, Lieutenant, please, something happened."
Cigarette in mouth already.
Well, I was going to say somebody else comes in and goes, Lieutenant, that's not how we do chest compressions. But nevertheless, yes, you are now in a room, and there is a telecal device, and it's sparking with energy.
Grab tricorder, start scanning.
Alright then, give me a control and engineering check, and you do get a lowered difficulty because you are a telecal technology specialist, ancient technology as a focus, and of course xenoarchaeology as well, so either of them work fine.
How do I decrease the complication? Is it increase? No, decrease the complication range then, or?
You do not. The complication range
No, it's difficulty.
remains the
Sorry,
same. The difficulty is only one for you in this case, so you are fine.
I want to make it more of a challenge to myself.
Speaking of complication ranges,
You're the only one that can spend your determination to stop it.
yes.
Yeah, I'm currently looking right now, and it's like,
Well, Legion of Honor, isn't it, to cancel the complication?
I don't have one of them.
No, he doesn't.
Only you can save mankind.
Well, we all died. We all know who to blame. The
All right,
only human
so-
on the changeling ship.
The good news is that you know what's going on. And that's also the bad news. You know what's going on. So, where are we? The whatever energy wave went through the ship appear to have activated the telecal artifact. And since you've seen what happens when telecal tech runs amok, you notice that there is a best describe this. Oh, hang on. What's happened to my display? My display's gone all funny. Nevertheless, this thing is outputting gravitons. And you're also reading an unusual amount of neutrino emissions coming from this as well. Knowing what you know about how telecal tech works, this thing might very well be opening a subspace rift right here in the lab, if you don't stop it. And unfortunately, you've now got less time to stop it than you did before.
No, knowledge is power. I'm trying to think. This is where we've got the first one of Hello's cores.
Yes,
Because
and
we were
there it
close
is, right
in the
there.
guts of it.
Hello and its 3 telecal cores, including the original one that you got, are sat right here.
Oh no, all right. So no, that was from the same place though. So I've vaguely that means been inside the guts of the main machine that was causing this.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Actually, that's a good point.
I was going to
Unit
say.
Edwards. This unit has lost link to its remote unit and cannot communicate with the rest of the ship. However, this unit also notes that there is a device about to open a subspace rift. Would you like assistance?
Yes, please. As you were, I think you are the only other entity that had the best look at what was going on because Navis had her hands in your innards at the time when we first dealt with this machine.
So I'm going to bring Unit Hello's remote unit here because technically that's the stats we go off of when doing anything to do with Unit Hello. So that
I remember some of it, but not all of what was inside this thing.
So it's now or never. Got to get stuck in.
He's been demoted, by the way.
Are you back to Lieutenant JG?
That one is, yeah. The one that's on this screen is.
Yeah,
I should get
that's
rid
weird.
of that for you.
Well, it happens when you're in.
Yeah, when you turn down Lieutenant Rin, she puts the
No,
complaint in.
it doesn't say junior grade on my.
I've
it
just
still-
changed it.
He's just changed it.
All right.
So
On you,
Yeah.
if you hovered over the display name, it was Lieutenant JG.
Okay.
it's weird how it keeps doing that. I don't know why.
I think it's
doing that.
because it will be the tokens aren't updating.
It's entirely
In that
probable.
Again, given that, as I said, I haven't vaguely been in this before when we were trying to stop the place from blowing up last time, I'd like to use those you don't learn from history. I'll do them to repeat
Okay.
it. Now I know exactly what it is.
That's a good point. Are you saying that?
And that's also a
previous... Oh, wait a minute. That is a callback, yeah. Unit Hello feels this is all due to Science Department taking all the computer resources. Well, maybe.
That's what I was trying to find
Maybe
where
if
I've
they
got my
hadn't been
characters
hogging all the
making note of this.
bandwidth, you might have been able to identify what this was sooner. Right, so Sean, since
well-
Unit Hello is your friend, you can have Unit Hello assist by guiding Edwards through what needs to happen next. Turin is got a head wound and is therefore very groggy at this point in time, and therefore is of no
Is this
help.
episode 53?
This is episode... That's a good question, actually. Let me check the number. We are quite a few in, aren't we? 52.
Is it 52? I thought last time it was 52. Cool. That means I need to change that to 51, the previous one. 52.
I can check later to make absolutely sure, but either way, this episode is called Cry from the Void. So anybody who wishes to reference it that way can do it by name.
Right. Can you remember the name of the episode that this is calling? I'm calling back to. I
If
can't
you're
remember that
calling
one.
back to the one I said, which was SETI Alpha 5,
Yeah, when we actually
then
got
that
into
was
the
episode 15, Return to SETI Alpha 5.
Call back to turn to.
No, Emergency on SETI Alpha 5, pardon me. Episode 15.
I think it is 52. Because 50 was when we just fought the Jemadar and stole the and caused the chaos.
And Lieutenant Orai's send-off was kind of a half episode. It was in between, so that may be where some of the confusion was coming from. So to all of those on Moonbeam who are only joining us now, we used to have two other player characters, both of which had to unfortunately leave us due to work commitments. We hope to see them again sometime soon. So we definitely haven't killed their characters off. They've just been moved to the side so they can return later.
Okay, that has been saved, so that will be control engineering,
Yep,
using
and,
focus, termination.
Unit Hello
One dies,
can
isn't it?
aid with reason and engineering because Unit Hello is entirely unable to actually interact in any way, shape, or form. It's just going to basically be talking.
Oh, no.
Spst.
Units short circuit, the mobile unit short circuits.
No, it just doesn't like you.
Well, yeah, essentially, it goes out. Just as Unit Hello was about to say, actually, that's a good point. Let me do this.
And please, Unit Edwards, make sure you do not.
That's out.
Unit, hello? Hello? Hello?
That's
Oh,
what
boy.
Don't worry about. 4 successes from Edwards as he sweats it out with this thing sparking and threatening to electrocute him as well as tear the ship in half. He manages to do it. Thing visibly and audibly powers down. Edwards breathes an enormous sigh of relief.
Then sees to Turin as best he can.
She's
Remembering
got
he did
a-
fail medical.
So Turin has, irrespective of what somebody has just written in there,
I'm going to say it's Webby. It's a Webby or Gareth, one of the two.
shall we withdraw to another more comfortable place? No, she's got a gash, and so she's dripping green blood from her head wound.
I'll probably tear apart the uniform, just make a quick bandage type thing.
Pretty sure. Pretty sure
My
there's medical gear.
uniform, I don't have any medical gear around here. We're in the science labs.
At which
There's
point,
medical. Yeah, there's first aid
There'll be a
stations
first
dotted
aid
around.
kit somewhere.
Okay,
No, but
okay.
no,
fine.
he's now being the gentleman, isn't he? He's like, oh no, you're injured. Here, let me get this
Rip.
piece of my shirt. Wait, rip. All right,
Which
go.
it is
No,
a Star
no,
Trek. It is a Star Trek trope.
Given we're in,
So-
we can generally teleport people to anywhere on the ship. I'd imagine that's what was the general thought of. All right, injured, go that way, rather than we've actually stocked everywhere with medicine, despite the fact we said everyone to the bridge. Not bridge, sorry, the medical bay.
Safety officer.
But
I mean, of course, there's no health and safety. That's why there's no seatbelts or pockets.
Why do you need seatbelts? We've got artificial gravity. It should be fine.
Why do we need fuses?
That was actually
God.
the incident went flying over a console.
It
Fuses
works
went
fine
down.
99% of the time.
It's just like 1% when you get into conflict.
And I
Just the
guess-
amount of times we've
Sorry.
seen in Next Generations just Data just face palming in his console.
Yeah, but he's a robot. It's fine.
Yeah, he bounces back.
Can I get a final word then from whether or not Edwards just does rip a piece of his?
No, if
thing?
there is actually medical things, he would go for it. This was Alex
Okay.
being naive and thinking literally everyone just gets sent to medbay, given the type of technology we were in. That was a personal error rather than the player.
That's fine.
No, sorry,
That's
player
fine.
rather than the character. Sorry.
That's fine. So yes, even Taryn herself groggily goes, perhaps I should go to sickbay, but I may need assistance.
Certainly. Communicator. Basically, hit the communicators. Edwards to bridge. We're gonna need some of the science team down here. Some of the devices went a little bit haywire. We almost had a telecal warp breach open up in the science lab. I need to get Turin to medbay. I need someone else down here to make sure none of this other stuff goes up, and also to reconnect Hello. Is it like going like a mile a minute kind of thing?
Yeah, just Bertram's just like. Yeah, Bertram's just standing there in medbay going, what am I going to do with hello?
I can't be in medbay. I'm in the science.
Oh, you're in the plant. Yeah,
remember.
You're in botany research, yes indeed, which is where we will be going next, I do believe. Let me just check. Have we dealt with nearly everybody? I believe we have. Only the ones left is
Just Bertram.
Bertram, botany research.
Not the plants.
Right then. So,
Okay.
we just turn over to this ambience. So, yes, alarms are going off. Bertram bumped his head. He's got a slight gash there, and there is also a fire going
Plasma
on
leak.
over here.
Is it? Yeah.
Green plasma fire. So this thing burns pretty hot, and you tried getting the computer to create a force field. It failed to acknowledge, which means there's probably very, very big problems elsewhere on the ship. But for the time being, you need to see to this plasma fire.
Okay. Well,
This is deja vu all over again.
yeah, it goes, why is it plasma fires, you know? If I had a credit for every time there was a plasma fire to deal with, I'd have 2 credits. Okay. Grab a couple of bits and pieces, including some Bertram moss. So I think if I'm going to need to get near enough, that Bertram moss might start consuming enough of the plasma to make it slightly less hazardous for a
Nice
short amount of
shot,
time.
nice shot. So this is going to be a bit of a tricky one. This is going to need some coordination here.
Yeah.
So this is Bertram needs to throw the moss in just the right place so that it doesn't immediately go into the flames. He needs to place it carefully near the flames so the flames themselves will draw the moss. So this is going to be a bit of coordination here and putting it in the right place. So I'm going to say this is going to be control and I'm going to go with control and science. Control and science makes sense to me.
Control and science. Can I use
Yes.
my ecology as a focus as it's moss?
Yes, because you will know the distance you need to place it at.
Okay.
But I am upping the complication range by 2 to 2.
Okay. Is anyone mind if I take a spot of momentum to add an extra
Got a
die?
full pool, so you.
Okay.
I'm hearing no. I'm hearing no objections. There we go. Right.
Okay.
Go for it.
Is it 1 point for a die?
It is 1 point for one dice. If you want another dice, you have to pay 2 more momentum.
Okay. I shall go with 3 at the moment. Well, here we go. 2 successes.
Nice. So you come close to burning yourself because
Yeah.
the heat is so intense, but you do manage to put the moss in the correct place, and it starts to filter out its little feelers and its roots, and you see the. It's an interesting spectacle to see the flames actually start to get drawn towards the moss, almost like there's a breeze blowing it. And the moss is controlling the burst for now. It's starting to grow though, because it's absorbing all this energy and feeding off of it.
Yeah.
But you now need to essentially shut off the plasma that's feeding the fire.
Okie dokie. I think I'm going to need to go roughly around here also to...
Yes,
have
and
a
this is
do that.
going to involve control and engineering.
Control and engineering.
To see if you remember your engineering training for the first time you have had,
Yep.
had this happen.
Yep. I'm going to ask for... I'm going to
That's
take
such
another
a-
bit of momentum, but I don't really have an applicable focus.
But I will say
this-
one difficulty one, since this is
Yeah.
something that should be
Yeah.
relatively easy.
Okay. 2 successes.
Nice, one over and above what you needed, so that goes back into the pool. Very good, very good. You find the shut-off valve and manage to stop the plasma feeding the fire. As such,
Okay.
it dies out quickly, and therefore the moss ceases growing, but you're going to need to contain it before it starts spreading itself to the various other little conduits and electrical signals that are around the place.
Yeah.
Nonetheless-
There should be, given where I am, there should be some containers that I can grab to contain it fairly easily.
Indeed. As you do, as you grab a container and scoop the moss in, which is now a lot bigger than it was when it started out,
Yeah.
you notice
Yeah.
that the back of your hand, the one that you put the moss into the conduit, was it's got some heat damage, superficial, almost like a sunburn,
Okay.
just from being in proximity. But just as you're about to reach in to grab your medical kit and give yourself a calming spray, you notice all of a sudden that there are little motes of mycelia in the air, and they start to settle around your wound. And as you watch, the mycelia not only settle on the wound, they begin to actively heal it.
Okay.
It's almost become part tardigrade.
Grabbing my tricorder with my non-wounded hand and scanning to find out where this is coming from.
Actually, that's a good point. Give me reason and science, and I will allow your dimensional physics focus without giving too
dimension.
much away.
Dimensional science. We do what we must because we can. Well, as soon as I got that momentum back, I think I'll spend the one to get another point. Because this is definitely not normal, or at least not sort of standard as Bertram has seen it. Three successes.
There we are. Bada boom, bada bing.
Ooh.
We will hang on to that for later. For now, we go back to the bridge. Now, whilst with all of this going on, at a specific point, Nova is already in a panic, and then hears about, sees Hello fall out. I can't even use words now at the moment, excuse me. Unit Hello's remote unit turns off, falters, crashes to the floor, panics a bit more. Nova tries to initiate system and ship lockdown and attempts to use her position on the helm to start speeding in the direction of where she thinks the the cry for help might be coming from.
Yeah.
So, Claude. Is Claude going to do anything about this?
Oh god, yeah. This is not the situation we should be doing.
Hit the button.
Yeah, hit the button. Stop.
You just have like a turn off engine button just underneath his desk.
No, he's got the quantum torpedoes button. As we established, quantum torpedoes solve every problem.
Not in that piece, he doesn't.
Claude has a button in every console.
He just carries it with him.
Well, the consoles have user profiles, so it's just like, it's Claude. There's one button now.
Yeah, I think hopefully, has Lenny back on the bridge?
Yeah, Lenny should be here. I see no
Yeah,
reason not to.
then Claude will order Lenny to remove Nova from the Cruz and Lenny to remove her from the helm position, bring the ship to a full stop.
Okay, so what I'd like Claude to do is to use presence and security in this case. So Webby, you can do that. Assisted by Lenny, who I will ask Navis to do.
And do.
Lenny to give me. I want Lenny to give me fitness and security, but I am going to ask. I'm also going to ask Alex to do Cruz attempting to talk Nova down. So I would like Alex, if you could be Ensign Mariana Cruz and do presence and command as well. So both Lenny and Cruz are doing one dice.
Assisting, was that?
Oh. Yes, assisting.
One dice.
So I will count the 6 for Lenny, that's fine. I'll ignore the 19.
Thank you.
And then we'll ask, ooh, interesting. And so we finally need Claude to roll 2. Please, Webby. Very good, very good. Okay, so for Nova, even though Lenny is trying to hold on to her onto Nova's hands, and she's not liking this at all, Claude issues the command, stop. We need to find out what's happening with the ship. Nova, all stop. Cruz reaches over, grabs Nova by the hand, and just says, Nova, it's me. Focus on me. You've got this. It's okay. We're going to deal with it, but you just need to relax. Focus on me. Just me for now. And somehow, Ensign Cruz, especially since she got 2 successes, appears to be an ocean of calm. As, to a degree, does Claude. Claude definitely as well. And through Cruz, Nova becomes aware of Claude's resolute stillness, and so can use this to bring herself back around. As the energy wave dies away, so does the immediate sense of panic. So, this is around about the time where Captain Andrews comes back onto the bridge. The science crew and the XO find themselves back on the bridge.
Can I beat Andrews to the bridge by about 10 seconds?
Well, yes, because you were in the conference room.
Just hears the turbo lift coming up, also the security team. It's just like, Captain. It's just like, quick!
Thank you, Mr. Claude.
Obviously, the science guys who were in the conference room with Vibers all rush in because they were just in the, the conference room. And I'm going to keep Bertram here because he's learnt pertinent information that might be helpful, but the rest of his medical team are going to be busy answering all the medical problems that have occurred.
We did call a medical team for Nova to the bridge, so that might be why the doctor's here.
Yep, that's a good point. Keshan's still about because he's on communications trying to keep everything ordered as much as you possibly can. Stevens, of course, is injured, as well as Turin. Latude is doing his job, so is just elsewhere, probably in engineering. Same goes for the chief of engineering. Natik and Bravo, both of them on security, are more than likely helping people move about in an orderly fashion, make sure nobody's panicking, getting everybody who needs to be got to sickbay peacefully and calmly. And also security teams are trying to find folks who are in need of assistance. So, folks find themselves back in the bridge, and of course the captain's first question is more than likely to be, what the hell happened to my ship? So let's
Mr. Court?
find out.
Just pass it straight off to Claude.
I wasn't here!
yeah, I know. It's just like
It's better coming from Claude. You take it better.
That's a good point. Yeah, you can talk around.
well, Commander. Well, Captain. Commander Vibers left Lieutenant Nova on the com.
Oh, that's actually a point. He probably would. He is quite.
Claw is to the point.
Now, how
Lieutenant
much of the problem
Cashin
is...
reported a powerful subspace message that was threatening to overload our communication system. The ship was then struck by a wave of tetryon particles that interfered with systems throughout the ship. Systems went offline, other systems were affected by the tetryons. Phasers are currently disabled. Other systems are being brought online.
Any ideas on location of where this came from?
Well, anybody who wants to give me a reason and science check with a difficulty of 0, assisted by the ship's sensors and science. Anybody who has got anything to do with stellar phenomena and the like. So I'm doing that. Let me look for the Navis, because we have activated Plort because we used him actively. Any others that we've used? Any other NPCs that we, or supporting cast I should say, that we used that used their determinations? I don't think so. So we should be safe with just the one for the moment.
Did Claw actually use determination?
Oh no, you were talking about it, but he didn't actually, did he?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We've activated. I think activating Claw at this point is probably worthwhile because he has been actively involved in everything that's gone on.
Yes. Lenny tried to steer everyone clear, and there's also crews who actively took part in trying to calm Nova. Lieutenant Turin didn't take any part in what was happening with the Tilical tech, and so that was all Edwards. And Vibers was mostly in charge of what happened in the conference room, so yeah, we should be good. Got about 3 left. Nevertheless, I asked for reason and science. Anybody that has anything to do with stellar phenomena or that kind of thing can feel free to give me an attempt, aided by the ship, which can be Gareth, I think.
The ship.
Out of danger? Too soon? Did come back. Then died again.
And then the third time. Then that was it.
Incidentally,
Got better.
While I've got everybody here, and this can go out to everybody on chat as well, has anybody seen that short film that was made where they had Kirk come out of basically death,
the
and
nebula.
out and said goodbye to Spock? No?
No.
Nope.
Wow.
I
Check
have.
it out
Yeah,
if you can.
yeah, it's really good
It is
because
phenomenal.
it's partially AI and it's partially CGI.
Yeah. It's
But they have got Shatner was the producer for it, wasn't he?
yeah, he gave his blessing for them to use his likeness. Sam Witwer, who some of us know as Darth Vader's secret apprentice, who those of you who may have watched Smallville might know him as Doomsday, or the character that became Doomsday. And what else has he done recently, Mr. Witwer? I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but he was the stand-in for Shatner, so they used his body and his expressions as the mould to fit Shatner's face on. So I found it a phenomenally emotional and touching piece of art, and it needs to be experienced by everybody. So if you can, do. Anyway, my pardon. We are trying to establish reason and science to find out what's going on with the ship, and the sensors and science from the Navis. So anybody with a reasonably good science score should feel free to assist.
The Navis
Or,
doesn't
actually,
know.
Not assist, actually take the lead. The Navis has given us 0 successes, so it's all down to, whoever chooses to use science to identify what might be going on. Anyone with a reasonable science score can do it. Unless you want to activate another of your supporting cast.
So it might be worth activating someone else. If we've got anything.
Well, Edwards has got science of 5, so he's no slouch.
He was taking thingy to the Turin to the med bay.
Yep, and those who had been taking people to medbay, including Captain Andrews, who took Chaff Ensign to the medbay, have managed to get back to the bridge. So you're fine.
Okay.
Turin herself isn't here because she's in sickbay, but Edwards is free to come to the bridge.
So I didn't think I was. I actually missed that bit, so I switched off.
Oh, I do beg your pardon if I didn't make it clear.
That's all right. So it's what was it for identifying again?
Reason and science, please.
It's about what was about the I forgot you were that.
Yeah, what
for
hit the ship. So
focus on communications.
That's not bad, actually. Yeah, because it came through the communication lines first. So that's not bad at all.
Oh, for love of toast!
Okey-dokey.
Actually, wait a minute. Is this something? Is actually something to do with communications? Can I use Starcraft?
Starcross. Once permission, the character makes use to double their focus range.
Yeah, that doesn't help. Never mind. So, anyone else that's involved in this wants to help?
Yeah.
We're all just gonna watch. We're all gonna watch you with expectant eyes. Come on, Lieutenant, you can do it. There's a promotion in it if you get this right.
That's not incentive.
Get it wrong, and you're going back down a rank. Good luck. Good luck. Well, I'd just like to point out the new second in engineering, Lieutenant Stevens. Hey, she didn't even do anything. She got the role. In fact, get out of my chair, Vivers.
That was a lot all at once, I have to say.
It smells Nova in this chair.
Smells like Nova Spirit.
Ooh, ha, hey. I can't immediately think of something to do, so I'll save that for later. See what I can't do with the extra bit of threat. Alright. The ship's hull shows residual tetryon particles that indicate that the ship seems to have passed through a massive tetryon wave or burst of some sort. Now, going with what Nova was using, trying to get an idea of where this was coming from. If you fancy spending a point of momentum, you can use obtain information. to get more
Yeah, might as
data.
well.
Okay.
Now that Nova's slightly more calm and cognitive, it might be better to
Yes, because now Nova
to
can
put all the information we've got together.
can help point to a nav chart, which will be eased by. So Edwards and others, but mostly Edwards, know that the decay of tetryon particles indicates that the wave originated from a nearby system. And the nearest system is 12 light years away, the Abassa system, and appears to also lie in the direct path from which the tetryon particles appeared to originate. And when Nova looks at the star chart, the display showing where the tetryon wave came from, it feels right. It feels like. The nature of the particles indicates that the tetryons are of natural origin, but the wavelength and the pattern dispersal implies that they were artificially generated. Tetryons can be artificially created or they can occur naturally, so this implies that someone or something used naturally occurring tetryons but artificially organized them. And what's notable is that the communication received by the ship, that massively powerful subspace communication, was apparently embedded inside the tetryon wave. So, what would you like to do with this information?
I'll definitely pass it to the rest of the crew. I mean, the obvious
Now-
answer would be, can we follow it back to the source?
This goes back to what I was going to say about Dr. Bertram scanning the mycelia. It appears that the mycelia reacted to the tetryon particles and it animated them in a fashion. It also explains why the Tilical piece of technology suddenly went haywire. The tetryon particles
And why the
interacted.
black matter, and why the black matter stuff started to go a bit weird as well.
Yes, it's knocked the dark matter out of alignment. So, again, what would you like to do with this information? You have...
Mark it on the chart so that other people don't hit it.
Okie dokie.
Hijack the ship.
What was that, sorry, Sean?
Hijack the ship. Start heading.
Okay, what do you want to do to help with the situation?
Can we calculate?
On the ship. The situation on the ship.
By hijacking the ship and taking it there.
That's not helping the ship.
It's definitely helping.
It's helping something, but not the ship, which is why I tried to say the ship.
I mean, as far as I can see, you can look up the Abassa system and see if there's anything interesting there that might give you a clue as to why that happened, or you can see if you can decipher the message.
Is the Abassa system in Federation space or is it outside?
If you want to try and give me a control and science check, you can interrogate the ship's computer system and see what it tells you. Doesn't have to be Bertram just because you asked the question, but you know, if Bertram wants to.
Well, Bertram will ask the computer, see if the computer's now behaving better than when it refused to answer. You say, "Put up a force field."
Yes, systems are now coming online. That's fine. One's all you need. So yes, the ship's systems are coming back online slowly but surely. It was mostly things got shorted out, overloaded, but thankfully there are lots of redundancies and stuff like that. The shut-off valves for the EPS conduits and a lot of stuff here is easily replaceable. So the majority of the damage was done to the people rather than the ship. Systems are slowly coming back online. As such, the computer comes back with the Abasta system. No, the Abassa system is located within Federation space, a G-type star. The system has 11 planets, but only the 7th planet lies in the habitable zone. The 7th planet has 3 moons. The 7th planet is Class M, although indications are that it has little vegetation, nothing more than lichen, and was not judged ideal for colonization. 95% of the planet is covered in ocean. And that which isn't ocean, any surface, is crystalline. The seas are known to contain some life, although mostly lower life forms, like single-cell life forms and a few types of algae and maybe mollusks. Nothing classified as dangerous as far as the computer system comes back with. The oceans do have a high mineral content and contain a remarkably high concentration of deuterium, which your ship runs on a lot of. The oceans are incredibly deep, with trenches in places that are as deep as 30,000 meters, which is twice as deep as the deepest part of Earth's oceans. There's an interesting bit of information that indicates that on last pass through the Abassa system, a deuterium refinery is located on a small island located in the southern hemisphere.
I'll provide this information to the others.
Anything else you would like to do? Like maybe the message? No? Or just want to go to the Abassa system and see what we find?
I think it's probably go see what we find at this point.
We're ignoring the message.
No, that's fine.
I mean, I probably would be ideally to listen to the actual message.
I reckon we should go there, then discover the message and say, whatever you do, don't go to the Abassa system.
Well, yeah. Ensign Cruz exits the ops station and allows Nova to retake her station if she wishes to. Unit Hello's remote unit sparks back into life.
So, what does the message say?
At the moment, it's garbled. The packet of information is currently undiscernible. But as far as Edwards can tell, there's 2 factors involved. There's the intensity of the transmission, that it overwhelmed the communication system, which degraded the signal. The other is that it appears to be in an unknown code or language.
Ooh. Okay, that stops my first idea. But he'd definitely want to spend his time trying to see if he can crack it until we get there.
Okay. So the captain's okay with Mr. Edwards trying to decipher, decode, or at least clean up the message?
Yeah, happy with that.
Because if you can work it out, then you can potentially work, I say, jury rig, but put together a sort of predictive text kind of thing to try and fill in the gaps, but only once he's be able to work out the language.
Okay.
Yes, I told you it was good to have a communications expert on board.
Yes, indeed. We haven't technically activated Keshin yet, but we don't know if we need to yet.
Our previous communications expert was Edwards.
And there it is, still here. So, control and engineering task, which can be assisted by the ship's communication and engineering. So, Sean, if you'd like to be the Navis for this occasion. And remember that the Navis counts as having a focus. It's only rolling 1 dice, communications and engineering. Edwards can roll 2, communications and engineering. The difficulty overall is 2, and the task will take you about 2 hours.
Would it be reason or insight or control?
Control.
You said okay, control. And obviously focus of communications.
Yes, absolutely.
If I get a third failure this time, today, I'm going to be unhappy.
See, it's lulling you into a false sense of security now. Okay, cool. 2 successes. And the ship also helps. 3 successes overall, 1 over and above what you needed. That goes back into the pool. Nice. So, you spend 2 hours running the transmission through a number of filters to try and clean it up, and you do clear up the degradation, making it now possible to potentially decipher. In the 2 hours that this is going on, I assume course is being set for Abassa, or you'd want to send a message to Starfleet first, or what do you want to do?
I think we'll set course because it was a distress. So we'll set course, but we'll also then relay to Starfleet that we are engaging a potential distress call.
Okay. Nice. Good. And anybody doing anything particular in the meantime, or just waiting until either A, you get to the Abassa system, and B, yes, Navis?
I'm getting the science team back in that meeting room to sort their shit out.
Okay.
A crisis is not getting them out of making me have to do their department's work and play in politics.
Can I get Vibers then to give me insight and command, please? And I want you can use composure as your focus.
Okay.
I want to... Doing anything about that?
I'm not doing very well today. It is making things a bit more interesting.
For story points, from a story point of view, I'm throwing in a Legion of Honor on that one.
No successes. Okay. Alright. Yes. So, Vibers enjoyed being chief of engineering. Engines are dependable. They either work or they don't work, and when they don't work, it's a puzzle. A puzzle that you can usually tinker with, prod, then try something else with, keep failing at something, then until you eventually get it right.
People are hard.
People are much harder to get the hang of. And what's making this even more difficult for Vibers is that you've got so many different types of people here. You've got Mono, who's obviously just been given the role of head of science, and he's doing his best, but he still has some of you're not sure if he's still his cultural hang-ups are still, or his sexual hang-ups, as they turn out to be, are the ones that are keeping him back, maybe giving him a bad attitude towards certain people.
I'd say it's not as Vibers' attempts to manage this and get this moving don't seem to be working that well.
Yeah, see, he's not sure what's going on. It could be that the department don't respect, or don't think of Mono as any kind of leader whatsoever, or they're each individually, some members of the science team are out for themselves and therefore are trying to make an impression on the XO by going directly to him, maybe as a means of trying to gain his favor, so get a better crew review. And the fact that Fizal is a denobulan and therefore has a high social thing, it's really hard to tell what the hell's going on here.
I tell them I'm giving them 5 minutes to come up with their own solution, and then brief the captain and go, I might need to escalate this. They're using it's not going well, and this isn't. We've got a bit of a problem in this department, and it's not going well, and I can't seem to figure out why it's not working and why it isn't, and why they're not communicating properly. Help, Captain? I might have to escalate this up to you.
We know how much the captain loves diplomacy. Would the captain like to give me an insight and command check?
Yeah.
With, let me see,
Diplomat
by consequence, yeah.
Diplomat by consequence. Nah, it doesn't quite work with
You could
morally
use Starfleet
ambiguous.
security policies if you want, but that might be more of a beat 'em all over the head with a chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, flip.
Okay.
Because it was insight. If it had been presence, and I would just sort of like go in and say, "Do your bloody jobs."
And if it was a case of simply ordering them to do their bloody job, it would, countless times. It should have worked. This department should work. There's definitely something going on here, whether it's a clash of personalities or somebody playing politics. It's really hard to tell, just like with Vibers. Either Mono's at fault, or Fizal is doing something, or because she's married to Bravo is using his telepathy in a fashion. It's unclear whether Eric is allowing her personal problems to interfere with her work. Cursed, who was so dependable before, you're not sure why she'd be joining in, going around Mono's head. There's something very odd going on here, and you really can't put your finger on what. It's weird. If this was just a case of simple, do your job, and they do their jobs. Hot tub party this evening, all science persons to attend. Oh, we're going back to how Ori used to manage the department. If all else fails, Delton, do the Delton way. Right, gotcha.
Andrews will also join, if you will allow it, I will then try and go and have a conversation with all of the Bravos and say what is going on with science, and being less tactful about it.
Interesting. What's going on? Get all the Bravos together. Okay. Dr. Bertram and the sickbay team, a lot of the injuries are superficial, so you have no problem dismissing Nurse Bravo from his post in order to go attend this meeting with the captain.
Okay.
And, of course, two of the... one's in stellar cartography, one's in plain old science, one is in security, and one is chief of engineering. The chief of engineering is confident in his team as well, since things are starting to come back online again. He's a bit worried about weapons still being disabled, but it's a case of tetryons interfering in quite weird ways. But nonetheless, he can leave his teams to deal with that for a little bit. So, all 5 Bravo brothers are brought into the same room. So, shall we take this once again to the situation?
I think no, she would make it uncomfortable. She'd make them all stand in the ready room.
Ready room. Ooh, right. So the captain's ready room. Right. All right then. Let's.
Whether it's not quite big enough for 6 people to be in, so it makes them all uncomfortable being in there.
Right. The captain's office. Okay. Where'd that go? Deck 1, captain's office. Let's take Clawt away from there and let's fill it in with the Bravo boys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Interesting. Alright, so. Bravo of security, Bravo of stellar cartography, Bravo of science, Nurse Bravo, and Chief Engineer Bravo. As they sometimes do, all of them at the same time say, "How can we help you, Captain?"
I want to understand the situation that's going on in science at this moment in time.
The other Bravo brothers look at their brother, Inkol, who is in science. I am uncertain I know entirely what you mean, Captain. Perhaps if you could be more specific. Well, obviously I could read your mind, but I'd really not like to invade your privacy that way, Captain.
Is Andrews going to be blunt from the information?
Andrews? Blunt? Hey. When? Times, dates, evidence, fingerprint analysis. Be blunt, by all means. Be blunt.
Yes. I've been informed that 2 senior members of the science team are going around the Chief of Science, one of which is your partner. I want to understand the reason behind it, why, and what tensions or conflicts are currently going on behind the scenes that is stopping people from performing at their best.
Yep, so Bravo Chief of Security and Bravo Chief Engineer both give very pointed looks in the direction of their brother in Call of Science. Mistress Nurse Bravo seems like he's just keeping himself calm, and he's just almost like he's tutting to himself. Inless Bravo, of stellar cartography, looks like he's so used to being the one that just hangs around in the back and doesn't say anything that he's continuing to hang around in the back saying nothing. And so it's coming down to Inkol himself. White text on the white sofa is not easy to read. Anyway, Captain, our wife is extremely driven and therefore is looking to achieve what she sees as her crowning scientific achievement. She is essentially looking for God in science. She feels that if she can scan enough stellar phenomena, enough unusual spatial phenomena, if we can encounter enough alien beings, she might be able to finally put together that whole notion of the Earth scientist Dr. Stephen Hawking's concept of the God particle. She truly believes that if given enough time and resources, she could do it. It's just that many in science don't really see Lieutenant Monod as a leader. He's always been the second in command of science, and some believe he's not really proven himself to be a leader at all. A follower, yes. A scientist, most definitely. Many people do not think he has the... I believe humans call it the chops to be an actual leader. And so many have started to find that it's easier to go to the XO, or the operations officer, in order to request resources. Then, of course, there's Lieutenant Keshen.
Go on.
I'm not sure it's my place to say this, Captain, because we have all obtained this information through telepathy.
Speak freely. If there is reasons of conflict within my ship, I need to know about it, because we are at war and we cannot afford to be making mistakes.
Well,
I would expect my security team to advise me of issues like this when they come to know of them.
Okay, Okra, Chief of Security, goes, in my own defense, Captain, it's an entirely personal issue, and I don't believe it actually affects security at all. It's an interpersonal thing, as far as we can tell, and that's it. If you believe that it is now having a security impact on the ship, I would have to say, to my observation, I do not concur with that analysis, but you are the captain.
If my science department are not following the chain of command structure, who's to say when they make a mistake because of conflicts of interest between individuals and personal gain?
In that case, Captain, we can all confirm that the source of the rumors regarding Dr. Bertram and Ensign Jenny Eric is Lieutenant Keshen. And we ask you not to judge Keshen too harshly on this, Captain. The rumor was not exclusively started by Keshen. It was a silly rumor that most of the crew let ripple through when everybody noticed that, well, Dr. Bertram's experiments did include, more often than not, Ensign Eric on a number of occasions. Therefore, it was just a one-off joke. However, it has been our observation that Lieutenant Keshen's ability as a communications officer is augmented by the fact that he is very much a social magnet. He is, besides Lieutenant Nova being the morale officer of the ship, and she does, to her credit, do a good job, Lieutenant Keshen has a tendency to collect all of the ship gossip, which makes a degree of sense, again, as communications officer. But through telepathy, we have been gaining a lot of envious feelings initially from Lieutenant Keshen to Ensign Eric. Jealousy which has resulted in resentment. It appears that there was a research grant that both Keshen and Eric went for. Needless to say, Ensign Eric was the one who obtained the grant, the scientific recognition grant, and Keshen did not. As such, Keshen sees Eric as a rival who succeeded him unfairly, and has since been, due to jealousy, we think, been perpetuating the rumors about Ensign Eric, or at least her involvement with Dr. Bertram. That's as much as we have been able to divulge. We can divulge, Captain.
System stable.
So you're saying that there's more, but
Not
you are
really.
obligated not to say.
There's not really more to it than that, essentially, Captain. It's Keshen resents Ensign Eric getting the grant when he did not, and we believe he has been acting out of jealousy and resentment. It has unfortunately spiraled into what it is now. But we doubt that that specific situation is what is causing the strife within the science department. That would be the overall impression of Mono not as an adequate leader.
System stable.
As Captain, you are of course allowed to render whatever judgment you wish in this regard.
Oh, thank you all for your honesty.
We are betazoids, Captain. We cannot help it. But neither do we feel it appropriate to freely give it unless really required to do so. Betazoid social norms are not the same as others, we quickly gather. It's not always clear what is appropriate and what is not. Especially to a telepath.
You're all relieved. You're all excused. Please ask.
You relieved, that went harsh.
Please ask Lieutenant Keshen to enter into my ready room, and then tell Commander Vibers and Lieutenant Monroe to follow afterwards.
Okay. Get rid of these guys. Bring in the next. So Keshen comes in first, followed by Mono and Vipers.
Yeah,
Yes.
Keshen's on his own. Keshen first, and then Vipers and Mono afterwards.
Right. What was Keshen's
Kesh-
voice?
Yeah, it's all right. Speed run this bit if you want.
Okay, cool.
Keshen's
That's up to you.
basically going to be given a bollocking.
Okay.
To apologise to Eric, or he will be removed from his position as communications officer.
Ooh, okay.
It's not going to be a public apology. He doesn't need to make a public apology. He needs to apologise to them and stop the rumour mill, and grow up and act his age, or he will be removed from post.
All right then. And sometime later, Vipers and Mono are brought in?
Mm-hmm.
Whilst Keshen's there, or is Keshen excused from that one?
Oh, Keshen's excused. Yeah, Keshen's excused, and then Vipers and Mono. So.
Okay, yeah. Keshen seems genuinely regretful that what he's done has brought it to the point where the captain has had to get involved. And yeah, he admitted that it was very unprofessional of him. It's just he feels like Jenny, Eric, had all the breaks she needed, had all the notice she needed, and he worked very hard to try and get that grant because he himself... Keshen, without using his voice modulator, Keshen says that he was brought up amongst the clergy of his homeworld, and so he came to science a lot later than others otherwise would have. So he thinks he got a later start than others did, specifically Eric, Jenny herself. And yeah, pretty much what we've established.
Yeah, he'll be reminded that he is currently the lead communications officer on one of the flagships of the Federation, and that his talents are of use to the Federation, but if he messes around, it won't look good on his reputation going forwards.
Very good. Alright then, Vipers and Mono. When they arrive, what happens there?
The question will be to Mono is, how are you settling in to your role as commander of science, or lead science?
To be dreadfully honest, Captain, I'm giving serious consideration to quit. It's not at all like I thought it would be. When I was following Natala, when I was following Ori, all I had to do was take what they told me, deliver it to everybody else, and just do science. And that was great, that was fine. But I wanted to be seen as... I put in the hours, I paid my dues. I don't see why people don't think that I'm not a good... I don't know. Maybe people don't respect me.
There is a level of frustration from some of the science department on the current position of your leadership, and I want to rectify that. But I need to know if you are willing to take on the responsibilities fully of being in charge of the science department, because you are a valued scientist, but if you do not wish to lead, I will not hold that against you.
Sir, I've always enjoyed mysteries. This is why I became a scientist. Puzzles, mysteries, and the fact that the universe is so big, there couldn't possibly be an answer to every question. That's just the greatest feeling, I think. It means curiosity can never be sated. So doing that as a scientist is the best thing ever, in my opinion. Does it track that I would make a good leader of scientists? I don't know, but I'm trying. I saw how Natala did it. I saw how Ori did it, although granted, I'm definitely not going to do it the same way Ori did it. I want to try, and I thought I was doing a good job. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, cooperation is key. It's just, I can't seem to get people to cooperate. I don't know if I'm coming off as too snotty, too smart, too not smart enough. How do you do it, Captain? Or you, Vibras, XO?
Sheer stupidity and dumb luck.
I'd hardly think... Dumb luck, Captain? Seriously?
At times. Sometimes it's trusting in your gut. Sometimes it's taking the most logical response that you can think of.
Science is as much about logic as it can be. I want to try, Captain, Commander. I really do. But... I don't know, maybe I'm just too weak to be a leader. Certainly other people have had no trouble trudging all over me.
I've got an idea for you.
Sure, Commander.
I think you need to shadow our Chief of Security for a day.
Chief Bravo? You think?
All of his guys have to be able to trust him with their lives anytime he's in the field. They trust him implicitly. Look at how they handle him. Look at how he gives instruction and how his people follow him and go through. It's not command level the same way, but it does show you the leadership skills on the small,
Sir,
which you seem to be missing.
with all due respect, sir, he's a Betazoid telepath. Of course he knows the right things to say. He's already sensed it through telepathy.
Doesn't matter about the right things to say.
No?
Look at how his people respect and listen to him and how he earns that from his people. That doesn't come from telepathy. Otherwise, the only people we'd have in command would be telepaths. I might have lots of memories, but I ain't no telepath. Captain, you gained any telepathy recently, apart from the ability to predict Nova problems?
Not so much predict Nova problems, so much as sense when they happen.
Well, that and you just set your watch.
Well, I'll count, won't I? I will give it all due respect and attempt, sir. Shadow Commander Bravo. Okay. I will...
You are also welcome to ask any questions to either of us going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Do not feel that you have to seal this situation on your own.
You should have brought this situation to me directly.
Thought it would make me look weaker than I already do. Now I see that was a mistake.
Right. What do you think the XO's job is?
You're to handle the minutiae stuff that the captain doesn't want to handle.
It's definitely not filing paperwork.
The captain's in charge of the ship.
You're in charge
The
of
XO's in charge of the crew.
Gotcha.
If
Okay.
you have a problem with your department, That's my problem. If it has to go up to the captain, we have to have records of this. There has to be portions and things handed out. It's a serious problem.
I will endeavour to do as much as I can to try and get this situation with my department back on the rails, sirs. For right now, I think they're all... Sorry, what was that?
As far as Starfleet is concerned, the conversation today didn't happen.
Right you are, sir.
This is just a warning that we need to work together to ensure that you succeed in your role, Lieutenant.
Well, as it happens, sir, we're approaching a planet that is developing some interesting characteristics, what with tetryon waves and all that, so now would probably be a good time for me to get my department in order to see what they say. Besides which, I think we've given Edwards enough time to clean up the message.
At the end of the day, though, Lieutenant, you make the decision on who is going down.
Very good, sir.
And I would request that you have a conversation with Ensign Fiesel about the fact that everyone is entitled to access to the science base and the computer resource.
Yes, sir. I will make her aware of the situation, sir. May I be dismissed, sir?
You may, Lieutenant.
Alright. Sputnik? You guys got anything more to add to that situation, or should we go to the bridge?
Oh, there's just going to be a casual question of... So, who put Nova on the con?
I think she'll find she put herself there.
The most pressing thing in the area seemed to be to try and get ahead of that science department problem before it got any worse. Didn't quite manage that.
Andrews is just going to hand a duty roster over to survivors that shows the chain of command structure. It's like, for your homework, Commander, you will write down the command structure. Claude is in
a safe situation. It is
worthwhile
putting more junior members of the crew in the command chair to give them the experience. I was not expecting a situation to come up.
But I want Vibers to do homework where he has to write out 1,000 times the command structure.
He does walk off with a copy of the command structure for nighttime reading.
I shall not appoint Nova to command. I shall not appoint Nova to command. Alright, meanwhile...
What do you mean the ship has bylaws?
Matt?
Yo.
So, a quick thing for Bertram. He once situation sickbays sort of sorted out, he'd want to contact either Natif or Natik, whichever one was looking after the news indicators, just to basically check on them and make sure that there was no issues with them with all the chaos going on.
Yep, no, you did. They were put in a secure cargo hold, so there was no conduits or anything like that to explode. So yes, Natik. Actually, as soon as the chaos happened, Natik raced to check on on their young, which surprised Nurse Nuteeth because she was coming out of the room at that specific point in time. But no, everything's good. Natik, however, is a little bit embarrassed that they left their post so quickly, and so we're gonna file a report with Bravo, with Chief of Security, that just to say sorry. Nevertheless,
a lot of sorries going on right now.
A lot of sorries going on right now. Edwards, you have eventually cleaned up the message that it can attempt to be deciphered now. So I would like Edwards to give me an insight and science, which can be assisted by the ship. Gareth, you can be the ship.
The ship.
You're
The
using
ship.
communications as a focus?
Insight and science with communications as a focus, almost definitely. Can the Navis give me communications and science? This is difficulty 3, and will take another 2 hours. Oh! Suits you, sir. Look at those successes. My God. All right, then. Lordy lords.
I reckon all those successes is just just looking around and then just putting it through and hitting the turn universal translator to on button.
All
He's
right.
that skilled at linguistics.
You learn that the message appears to be a simple distress signal of some kind. The language is completely unknown, which means this is a new, brand new language.
We're not calling it Edwards or Edwardian or
Edwardian.
Yes, because he's got that
Edwardian.
much of an ego. Edwardian. No.
Nevertheless, yes, unknown language, but almost certainly a distress signal of some kind. Nova is very much a case of, well, I could have told you that, but and did actually, more than likely. But it's now been confirmed, which is interesting because there was an emotion. It's a tetryon wave, but it was also an emotion wave, but it was also an actual subspace signal message.
Well, it isn't his first language that he's able to work out what things mean. So just keep on working at it with the universal translator until you actually understand it.
Need more context, though. But in the time it takes you to decipher that, that's another 2 hours that have gone, which means you do arrive in the Abassa system. So I'm going to bring us to the Abassa system. The planet, as much as you already knew that it was a 95% water planet, what strikes you most of all about the planet is its color. It looks like it is its oceans are made out of amethyst. The color is so deep and glittering.
Oh, that's an idea.
Yes.
What was it? The planet's mostly water, so it's reasonable to believe that the population at one point was aquatic, or at least that's who it evolved from, that kind of species. If it does have an active population, correct?
Does not have an active population. There
Ooh.
were no. The seas are known to contain some life, but it's all lower life forms, single cell
never
life
mind
forms
then.
mostly. The only
I was going to
other.
say.
Sorry, go on.
No, continue.
The only complex life forms are on a deuterium refinery.
I was going to say, if it's some aquatic-based life form, I thought, well, just put it through a bit like was it Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire,
Or
with the egg?
indeed Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, where they processed the alien probe signal and put it as if it was underwater. So yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the humpback whales again.
Yes,
that's
the
good.
cetacean probe again.
That was going to be my second idea of, wait, if it's coming from this type of thing, wouldn't it worth trying to put it through something that would mirror that kind of distortion to see if it
was a good
actually comes up.
But
Give
yes.
it a shot.
Yes, but something else happens first, because Lieutenant Commander Claude registers that there are a pair of ships that have just appeared from behind the local moon. They are small ships. You are receiving a broadcast, which will come in the form of, if I can just get the
interpretive Dan.
Radio.
turn back now. Leave the system, or we will open fire. Shortly after the
Mr.
entirety
Court,
of the
what
Covenant-
weapons do they have?
Well, I am going to leave that for next time, I am afraid. Probably accompanied by the snorts of derision and laughter from the Navis, but you never know. Mr. Claude, what weapons do they have? We will have to
They have
discover this
lasers.
next time.
My idea on that front would simply, if he wasn't doing the communications, would be start looking for anything that could be cloaked nearby, because either they're highly advanced or there's something waiting to ambush us.
Yes,
Yeah,
they
well,
might be sensor
we
ghosts.
was-
You never know.
We were slow to a crawl and go to yellow alert.
Okay.
Shields up, weapons armed.
We haven't got any weapons yet.
Yeah,
though.
there's a
Still
slight
off.
problem with that. Your weapons aren't currently armed, but you could throw a torpedo at them.
Yeah, Claude
Just does it, yeah.
Claude just leans out the window, shoots
Look,
yeets the
We'll send
torpedo.
out our shuttlecraft and show them how dangerous micro torpedoes are.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
there's
just
the Samson, so yeah.
yeah, Claude and Lenny can go out in the Samson. Just have fun, gents.
Not Lenny.
So yes, we will bring this part of our episode to a close here. If you want to discover what happens next, then you're gonna have to tune in next week, I am afraid, in order to find out the next part. Now, I hasten to note, next week is April the 1st.
Yeah.
I assure you that anything and everything that happens in next week's episode is not going to be revealed as an April Fool's joke.
It was
making
all
that-
a dream.
You say that now, but this
promise
could just be part of it.
They're going
Luring
to
us
be
into a
entirely
false sense of
serious.
scary.
Or at the very least, the story's going to be entirely serious. Us being entirely serious, well, you've already seen how that pans out.
We are
Nevertheless.
serious. Don't call us Shirdy.
Nevertheless, we will continue this story in the next part of this episode, which will be next week, 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, for those who are keeping score. So, for the time being, I will say thank you very much for everybody who tuned in. We hope you enjoyed it. For everybody who is catching this on YouTube later on, if you enjoyed it, then please consider giving us a like, because it not only helps us, but it also helps everybody else who does actual plays of role-playing games and anything to do with Star Trek, and more Star Trek,
Matt?
I think, is needed these days. Yes, Gareth?
You know that GNT firm ends this Sunday.
Oh, it does it?
Yeah,
So we're
yeah,
gonna
we
be-
moved to BST.
Yeah.
All right, then. We go into British Summertime. Yay!
Just
So
want
our-
to make sure our viewers aren't confused.
So our time changes a little bit.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
do our best.
but we got to put our clocks back an hour.
Yes.
Sunday.
No, it's the bad one.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
forward,
Yes,
sorry, yeah,
forward.
forward.
So we lose an hour of sleep, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, dear
everyone
me.
gets cranky for a week.
Yes, so we'll be an hour slightly ahead of where we usually are next
God,
time.
with all the disciplinary stuff, can you imagine if that happened when we'd lost an hour?
In the meantime, thank you very much everyone who watched. We ask you to do like the Vulcans do, which in this case is live long and prosper. Maybe not be very, very blunt when you are trying to ask somebody into a relationship.
I hate you.
It's like Red Dwarf, that scene was.
It's fine. The next part of that is, so when is your Ponfar?
Only
Tomorrow.
males.
Tuesday.
Only male Vulcans. Go
I
through
know,
Ponfar,
but this is
so-
Turin talking to Edwards.
Yeah.
He
Nevertheless,
wants
the
to put
thing-
it in a calendar for which year?
Nevertheless, the thing that we do want you to do, like the Vulcans, is not only live long and prosper, but also to engage in infinite diversity in infinite combinations. The world continues to be divided, which is a bad thing. We need to be united, like Star Trek teaches us to be, to try
Like
and
the
work
Borg.
towards unity. Not at all like the Borg, although at this rate, it might be the only solution. We shall have to see. But
The human hive mind.
we will continue this adventure, like I said, slightly different time due to British summertime. But please, if you enjoyed this, come along and see what we get up to next week. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Take care of each other, treat each other with respect and dignity, because we all need it. Hailing frequencies will now close.